Hi guys, today we are talking about the actual slope formula, okay? So to find the slope between any 2 points, you want to label one as the first point, one as the second point. It really doesn't matter which point is first and which one is second, okay? Our formula is m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x sub 1, which you have heard me talk about the change in. Now remember that this triangle means the words change in, which is subtraction, okay? So it is the change in the y over the change in the x. You will see me write this a lot instead of this, just to save space when writing the formula, because you always want to write the formula down. Okay, now let's work a couple of examples, okay? So when I'm looking at this, when I choose which one represents my first point and which one represents my second point from a problem, it says I read from left to right. So this is going to be my first point. This is going to be my second point. So that means this is x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. So now I'm plugging into my formula. M equals, I've got y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x sub 1. So my first step is I've got to plug in my numbers. So I'm going to have y2, which is 12. So I have 12 minus y1, which is 8, all over x2, which is 3, minus negative 13. This is where you have to pay attention to those integer rules, because if you make a mistake, it's going to cause you to get it wrong. So we've got a double negative here. So that means this is going to become a big plus. So now I'm simplifying. 12 minus 8 is 4 over 3 plus 3, which is 16. Now, this is a fraction, but I have to simplify it. You always have to simplify your answer. So therefore, the slope is 1/4. Okay, I took and went through thorough explanation for this. The next one, we're going to do a little bit quicker, okay? If you feel like you need to label them as x1, y1, x2, y2, go right ahead. A lot of times I'll just label, okay, this is 1, this is 2. Now I'm plugging in the change in y over the change in x. So I'm subtracting the y value. So I have 16 minus negative 12 all over 5 minus 19. Gotta remember this becomes a big plus because it's a double negative, which gives me 16 plus 12, which is 28 over negative 14, which is going to give me negative 2 as my slope. Okay, remember, if you've got questions or I move too fast, pause it and come back to it. Okay, looking at number 3. Again, my formula, change in y over the change in x. This is 0.1, this is 0.2. Actually, I will work this one labeling them as the opposite. So you can see that we would end up, you're still working it the same way. It doesn't matter. You just have to make sure that I'm going to stick with consistency. It's always the y's that you subtract. You can't, and if you start with this y, then you have to start with this x. You can't do this y first and then this x first. It doesn't matter. It's not big minus small. It's the y value subtracted and the x value subtracted. And whichever one you choose to go first is the one you always choose to go first in both the top and the bottom. So we're just going to stick with the routine. That's just going to be better to do right now. So I'm going to have 3 minus 9 over negative 10 minus negative 15. So that's a double negative, so that becomes a big plus. So this is going to be, that's a negative 6 over, so that's a big plus. That's going to be negative 5, which gives me No, that's not a -5. That's a +5 because the 15 is bigger than the 10. So, and my slope cannot be reduced any. So this is my final answer. Okay, now let's work a few of the kind of a different type a little bit where we are the special scenarios. All right, so next page. So when I'm looking at this, again, this is my first point. This is my second point. My formula is M equals the change in Y over the change in X. Now I always write this more for anything to make sure I put the Y values on top. So we have -4 minus -4 all over 1 minus -5. Okay, so the double negatives become big pluses. And we will notice -4 plus 4 equals 0 over 6. Well, 0 divided by 6 equals 0. So that is my answer. Okay. Next, number 1.1.2. So we have the slope equals the change in Y over the change in X. So we're doing -2 minus 3 over 7 minus 7 equals -5. And yes, you've got to show the work over 0. Anytime the 0 is in the denominator, that means that my slope is undefined, and you actually have to write the word undefined. Okay, so remember 0 underneath. Oh, I want to use a different color for this. Zero underneath is undefined. Okay, now we're going to go down and do it from a table. Okay, I find that easier sometimes than actually the 2 points. Because remember, what you're doing is you're looking for the change in the Y over the change in the X. Okay, so I'm going to look to see, what do I do to go from here to here? I'm going down 9 from here to here. I'm going down, oh, no, not 9. I'm going down 10. Since I'm going down, it's a negative. I'm going down from -9 to 14. That means I'm doing -9. So that's plus. So that's going to give me equals 5. So this is 10. This is actually down 5. From here to here, this is up 4. This is up 4. This is up 2. So you can see that for all of these, so this is going to be, remember, it's the change in Y over the change in X. So I have -10 over 4, -10 over 4, -5 over 2. And you'll notice all of these simplify to the -5 over 2. And that is my slope. Okay, one more example. No, 2, sorry. If we're looking at this one, if I notice all my Y values are the same, so if I think about the graph of that, if all the Y values are the same, that means I've got all these points across like that. So this should be horizontal. So I should be able to check with myself and think, okay, I've got the change in Y over the change in X. Remember, from here to here is 0. So that means it's 0 over, how much do I have to do to go from here to here? Up 4. And if I don't see it with that one, look at this one. That's 0. And here that's up 2. 0, up 3. All of these are 0 over some number, which they all equal 0. Okay, so therefore, since they all equal 0, that means my slope, we would have 0 over some number based on looking at this. So therefore, my slope is 0. All right, last but not least, let's look at 22. Well, based on this one, all of my x's are the same. So if I think about that graph, that means all of these points would be somewhere over here, making a vertical line, which means when I do my change in my y over my change in my x, you notice there is no change in the x values, which means that puts the 0 on the denominator, and there's any number of movement, because to go from here to here, I'm going down 2, down 4, down 3, which means it's negative 2 over 0, negative 4 over 0, negative 3 over 0. 0 is in the bottom for all of them. So therefore, this is undefined. Okay, finish the notes and have a great day.